All right, as promised, I'm doing a video that talks about the housing prices in Tacoma. I've done this series quite a bit back in the past. I would do it a little bit more often than I have been, only because I've been watching and seeing what's going on in Seattle. There was a time when people were asking if Seattle was having a housing bubble. I didn't think so. I thought that it was just a lot of craziness going on, a lot of speculation, and just a lot of growth overall. And so I think that the good old times have kind of passed in terms of that. It used to be where there was so many bidding wars up in Seattle, people offering cash only prices, whenever they go and try to get a home, and different things that really priced out the average person, right? The average person's not going to be able to really afford $600,000 in cash to give to someone. You also have plenty of homes too where there was an overbid. So, for example, if the house was going for $620,000, you had people that would bid up that price and say, you know what, instead of going for that, I'll give you, $20,000 more. So that was kind of the circumstance. And so a lot of different tactics really pushed a lot of people out. Seattle really wasn't doing a whole lot to really address the issue. I think it was more or less trying to, it seems like, my opinion, is it was trying to chase after San Francisco. San Francisco seemed like it took pride in the fact that it was so expensive that only certain people could live there. It seemed like Seattle did the same thing, and Bellevue is kind of the same way. But the problem with that is not everyone can afford it, and the people who do live there eventually aren't going to be able to afford the property tax, because the property tax is based on the value. It's going to be assessed on the value of the home, and that can get pretty pricey. So that's where we are. Now, recently, Bellevue is experiencing a lot of growth. If you notice, their downtown is really starting to spring a lot of different high rises. Amazon's going to build their tallest building ever that they own, some 40-something story building in Bellevue, and that's where they're going to put about 5,000 employees. So they're doing a lot there. The home prices in Bellevue are by far more than what they are in Seattle. So the growth of homes are going to be less in these places that are so expensive, because again, not everyone can afford it, and not a lot of people from Amazon, to be honest with you, can really afford those prices right now. There are some neighborhoods in Seattle where a home average price is $1 million. That's true. But overall, for the city of not, did I say Tacoma? I meant Seattle. I don't know. There's a dog barking and distracting me. But anyway, in Seattle, there are homes in certain neighborhoods that are at an average of $1 million. But overall, for the city of Seattle, home prices are about $784,000 on average and some change. And that is because prices have went down. Prices went up, down, but right now that's kind of where they are. And in Bellevue, they claim prices are around $902,000. So for the people that really and truly want to live in those places, unless you're carrying a huge amount of cash, and that you could be approved by it, especially if you're doing, conventional, unless you have a lot of money and a really good paying job, those are going to be two cities that's becoming increasingly hard to even get approved in. Some people think that, well, I make decent money, but does your bank believe enough in you to actually believe that they're going to get their money back? And so oftentimes people are surprised that even though their job is strong enough, their credit is just nowhere near where it needs to be to afford that type of home. Well, now let's look at Tacoma. Tacoma is still the darling of the area. I mean, even if you look at Kitsap County, which is where Bremerton and all that stuff is, the home prices there are about $390,000. They're pushing the $400,000 mark on average. Now, can you find homes cheaper than that? Absolutely. Can you find homes more than that? Absolutely. But on average, that's kind of where they are. When you look up into Snohomish County, Everett, the home prices are over $400,000, so they're around the 414 area. Not the case down in Tacoma. When you're looking at Pierce County and Tacoma, we're still the darling of the area. Home prices that actually went up. They were just a month or so ago about $350. Now they're around $370. So the home prices are kind of jumping, right? And so that is an indication. If you're seeing jumps like that, which is what happened in Seattle too, but when you're seeing jumps like that and the market is still very tight, and we have a long way to catch up, even if you look at it, even if you look at Kitsap County, which is $20,000 more on average, we still have a good distance to catch up, right? So $20,000 may not sound like a lot, but that's a big difference in your mortgage payment for some people. And when you think about it, even at the high range of $400,000, you can still get almost two homes for the price of what you can get up in Seattle, even in Kitsap County. And so when you look at Tacoma at 370, it's cheaper than any other county that's touching King County, and you're getting by far more value. You're getting typically better homes because the homes are typically not as old and run down as what you're going to find up in Seattle for that price. You're going to have typically much more backyard. That's kind of always been the case in this area. You're going to have some of the same amenities as what you're going to have up in Seattle. These are just the facts. In fact, I mean, some would argue that the lifestyle, you know, down in Tacoma, just your quality of life is much better. I mean, if you look at our parks, they're pretty much better than anything that Seattle has. I mean, if you look at the different types of parks that we have, you know, the beaches, it's getting better than what Seattle has. Our zoo is getting up there. You know, our museum camp is better. Our arts, you know, people talk about arts. You know, our entire focus on arts better than what you have up there in Seattle. And then the value of homes, the prices, and they're going up. So I'd rather buy low and let the price go up. So some people in Tacoma are seeing their home prices double in value just in a very short amount of time because, again, there's so much room to catch up. Now, when we talk about apartments, because not everyone wants to buy a home, and I understand that, but apartments are becoming very expensive. And I said this before. Now, if you look at Seattle, again, they've built so many apartments, there's such a glut that really and truly they're having to offer discounts. They're trying to do a lot of different perks for people to live there. But again, it is most of their development is downtown. Now, a lot of people want to live in downtown Seattle. And if you visited downtown Seattle, that's one thing as opposed to living down there. Living in downtown Seattle is just cluster all day until it's at nighttime when kind of it dies out. And then downtown Seattle is starting to get a little bit more crime than what people are normally used to. It's starting to fester up. The funny thing is that all of the things that they used to talk about and throw at Tacoma is now affecting Seattle and not so much here. But regardless, a lot of people don't want to live downtown where all of the development is, and so you're still in a situation where people are deciding, do they want to live in an older apartment unit or one that's more newer? Some of the more trendier neighborhoods like Ballard, the price for apartments are still so expensive people can't afford it. Most people in Seattle aren't going to be able to afford a lot of the homes nor the apartments there, so it pushes people out into these other areas. And so you're having more people move to Kitsap County, you're having more people move to Snohomish County, and you're having more people move down to Pierce County. Now, when we talk about apartments, just to give you an idea, the Brewery Blocks, which I did videos about that, Brewery Blocks is opening one of their loft buildings. Now, this was a historic building, but they added several floors on top of it recently, and they used the cross-laminate timber, and they're doing a lot of their structures that way. But this is one of the first ones that they're opening, and the development has created a lot of buzz. It's actually right next door to the University of Washington, Tacoma, but with the prices that this stuff is going to be, those students can't afford it, neither can the workers. They just can't. And then it's right across the street, literally, from the Holiday Inn that's downtown. So it's within walking distance to a lot of places, and it already has a couple of different companies that have leased out space. A cider company is going to be there. There's already a barbecue place coming from Seattle that's going to be there. The cider company is from another place outside of Tacoma. So businesses from other places realize now that this is kind of the hot spot. You know, not long ago there was an article and it made national news that Tacoma is the nation's hottest housing market, and that's very true. And I told people, if you want to move here, you want to move at certain key points because now it's becoming almost too expensive. The prices, when I look at these prices here that I'm about to mention for a 2 bedroom, we couldn't afford it. It's as simple as that. It's becoming so expensive. Downtown Tacoma is becoming very expensive. When our friends were here from Georgia, we actually looked at online, my friend and I, we looked at some apartments downtown. And he had mentioned that the price when they looked the first time that they came are way different than what it is today. Like the price today it'll make you scream. We're talking for just a 1 bedroom pushing $2,000. Now, when we look at brewery blocks, the lofts, they're going to have a 1 bedroom, 1 bath, and actually, we're going to take a tour of it on Sunday just for fun. It looks very nice. They've actually done a wonderful job. But a 1 bedroom, 1 bath is going to range from 515 square feet to 685 square feet. Okay? So that's kind of the size. 1 bedroom, 1 bath. It starts up at $1,635 a month to $1,950 a month for a 1 bedroom, 1 bath. So depending upon the view, if you have the view that looks out towards the water, you're probably going to be paying, and taller, the higher up you go and the better view, you're going to probably be pushing almost $2,000 a month for a 1 bedroom, 1 bath. Now they say that you can see the mountain, but technically, depending upon where you are, if you're kind of at the front of the building, you will be able to see the mountain. However, they're not telling you is soon they're going to be building other buildings right there. It's going to block that view. It just is. I mean, the buildings are going to be built like this in a row. So if you're right here, you're going to basically be blocked from seeing the mountain. But you will be able to see the water, unless other buildings come into play in the future and it blocks that view. Now, when it comes to a 2 bedroom, 2 bath, they range from 1,008 square feet to 1,050 square feet. Okay, so 1,050. I think our apartment up in Seattle was, I forget. I think it was either 1,000 or 1,100 square feet. I can't remember. But for a 2 bedroom, 2 bath here at the brewery blocks, which is just now about to open, and they're going to have a tour on Sunday for people to go check it out, is $2,913 a month up to $3,295 a month. Now, I get that this is a loft and it's more of a luxury type of loft, and I get the location of where it is popping because it's right there in the brewery district. You know, you have a mall that is open. The Tacoma Town Center is literally, you could throw a rock and hit it. You have Seven Seas, which is right there. I mean, Seven Seas is bad. Not bad in a bad way, bad in a good way. It's an awesome place. You have the University of Washington right there. You have light rail right in front of you. I get it. But for Tacoma, $3,295 for a 2 bedroom, 2 bath. Those are Seattle prices. You can find stuff there in Seattle that's not even a 2 bedroom for $2,900. I mean, that's luxury. That's luxury apartments in Seattle for that price. So Tacoma is becoming very expensive. Now they're saying that the apartment prices are flat here. I don't see that. I don't know where they're getting the information from, but when you look at different projects that are going in, I don't see it. I see the prices going up. This is evidence with brewery blocks. I mean, pushing $3,000 for a 2 bedroom. Of course, that's with good views. And don't get me wrong, this is a very nice building. You're going to have a rooftop area and all of that. They have all the bells and whistles. There's going to be a lot of convenience, a lot of action, a lot of that. I get it. But the prices are really starting to creep up there to a point that I've never seen before. There are other things that are going on downtown too that's going to be announced relatively soon. And even there was an apartment complex recently. I forget the name, but even for a studio, the studio I thought was expensive. It was $1,800, which is pricey. $1,800 for a studio, which is about the size of the man cave, $1,800. So prices are expensive. Now, what can you do? Now, one of the things that I tell people, if you're a single person and you're really and truly trying to make it, I would look into renting a room. Renting rooms is something that a lot of people don't do, but it really does kind of help you because you're saving a lot of money. You're saving money depending upon how they have it set up. You're saving a lot of money when it comes to the utilities because a lot of times that's shared. And you're saving a lot when it comes to the entire rental price, because instead of paying for the convenience of having a whole apartment to yourself, you actually do share it, so the price is going to be typically a lot cheaper. You can find rooms for a few $100s a month, $400 to $600 a month, and that's kind of the way that you can go about it. If you're a family, you're going to have to consider, and if your money is not there, you're going to have to consider moving a little bit farther from downtown, and or not choosing a brand new development, right? A lot of the older apartment buildings have 2 bedroom, 2 bath units. They're nowhere near that price, but the prices are going up. There are a lot of new apartments coming on stock downtown, that's being developed all the time. Cause development is one of those as well. Those are going to be a lot smaller, but the price, the affordability issue is starting to hit here like a ton of bricks. And I don't see that letting up at all. I see, if anything, that's going to actually go up. Now, Tacoma is trying to address the issue in terms of housing. Let me back up. Also, for families, you may want to consider renting a home. Renting a house is probably a good idea. However, a lot of people are trying to shun away from that. They don't want people to rent homes as much. Neighbors don't. They hate that. But that might be one of the options that you have to consider. If you can't afford to buy a house and you can't afford apartments, sometimes houses are cheaper than renting an apartment. Crazy, because you get typically a lot more space, a lot more privacy, but that's kind of how it is. Addressing the housing issue, Tacoma is addressing that. I mean, I mentioned the Heidelberg development, which I talked about in the video today, where the city is really trying to add in apartment units, 500 units there. They're also addressing housing down at the south side of the city around TCC, Tacoma Community College. And they're also putting in a large housing development there. So they're addressing the housing issue. The population's just growing so fast, the city can't keep up, similar to what happened in Seattle. Eventually, developers have to build up much higher. When you look at this particular development, the prices, there's a market for it. Believe it or not, there are people who will snap these up in no time. But we're getting to a point where developers are going to have to start adding pretty decent height to the building so that they can accommodate many more people, and also keep the prices kind of in good alignment. These are prices that people here on average won't be able to really afford. Like I said, the 2 bedroom units, that's too rich for my blood. Anyhow, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, I will see you. Take care.